Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, we are blessed with good health, alhamdulillah. And wish and the opportunity to continue the study of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We start off with the intentions for seeking knowledge and teaching. I intend to seek knowledge and to teach to benefit myself and to benefit others, to remind myself and to remind others, to profit myself and to profit others, to urge adherence to the book of Allah and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to invite to guidance and to guide to that which is good, seeking the face of Allah, His pleasure, His closeness, and His reward subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Let's continue on with the Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم نور بالقرآن بصري واشرح به صدري وأطلق به لساني واستعمل به بدني وقوي به جناني وأسرع به فهمي بحولك وقوتك فإنه لا حول ولا قوة إلا بك يا أرحم الراحمين والصلاة على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين بفضل سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Alhamdulillah, we are at Surah Al-Jathiah. We recap verses 16 to 20. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allah gave the book, the wisdom and prophet to the children of Israel. He also gave them of the good things and favored them over the world. So Allah keeps on reminding the people of the Bani Israel of the good that they have been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the reminder is so that they will be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah gave them clear arguments in the matter. Arguments here we did understand. The matter is a religion. So the religion was presented to them well in the books that were given to them, to the various prophets that they had, starting from Nabi Musa alayhi salam. They only differed after knowledge had come to them out of envy among themselves. So that's the reality of the Bani Israel. Allah reminds us this is a state of the Bani Israel, which means that Muslims also might come into this situation where they start arguing out of envy among themselves. Allah will judge between them on the day of resurrection concerning that they differed. So Allah reminds us, whatever it is, Allah will be the judge. Then Allah made Rasulullah SAW follow a course in the matter. So the course here, the matter here is the religion. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is introducing Rasulullah as one of the messengers in the line of messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the course is the same, and the matter is the same. The religion is the same, but Allah had given him a course. The course is alike in many ways, of course, a little bit of differences in rulings as well. He, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, must follow it and not follow the low desires of those who do not know. So in this case, we are aware that those people who make changes to the religion, they are following their low desires and their caprice. And they don't seem, because they don't have the knowledge. That's the reason, not that they don't know. So they are, it's okay for them because they are ignorant. It's just that they just don't have, the knowledge is not good enough. I mean, they have knowledge, but they don't want to follow the knowledge because of their low desires. All right, sorry. Surely they shall not avail you in the least against Allah, and they will not help Rasulullah in any way against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The unjust are friends of each other, And Allah is the guardian of those who guide. So the unjust, they will try to help each other, but they will be useless because, as Allah said, they will even help Rasulullah against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is the guardian of those who guide. So those who guide are those with taqwa. These are clear proofs for men, and the guidance and the mercy for the people who are sure. So Allah explains for all of us, these are clear proofs, and it is a guidance for us and a mercy. Unless you are sure, we must have yaqeen before we can actually benefit from the guidance and be blessed with the mercies of the guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right, we go on to the next word that we have there, ajtarahu. All right, ajtarahu, root word will be jahara, jaraha. Jaraha here means commit, to commit. But the ajtarahu, we understand it is ifta'ala structure. Ifta'ala structure. And the waw alif is the they, and it is past tense, fail, madi. Dahar, ad-dahar. So we know this is ism. All right, the top one is a fi'al. The waw alif tells us it's a fi'al. This is an ism because the al is there. Al means specific. So the time, dahar. All right, next verse. Hasiba, is all. Hasiba, this is fi'al madi. If there's a he embedded there, of course, we look ahead to see the subject. Hasiba is thoughts, or guess, or thought, or they figure out that kind of thing, because in the Malay language, hisab is to calculate. You see. So hasiba alladhina, those ijtarahu. So we saw this word just now. They committed sayyat. This is plural. They committed sayyat. So because they committed the sayyat, we see that the sayyat here is plural. Right? And it is nasab actually. It is nasab because it is the object. And when you see a kasra, right, the plural of a female is kasra for both nasab and jar. And sayyat. All right. An naj'alahum, an is that, naj'ala. So naj'ala, we can see is fi'al mudari, the na is the we, and it is nasab because the an is full of nasab. An naj'alahum, hum is them, kalladhina, like those, alladhina amanu, they believed, wa'amilu salihat, and they did the righteous. We know the salihat is not it is an adjective, the description of the amal, but the amal is normally not mentioned, right? Amalan, the plural of amal, because salihat is plural here. Amilu salihat, they did salihat, and salihat is in its nasab state also. And amanu is fi'al madi here. All right. Hasibal, amal is to do, so we can see another fi'al madi here. Amilu. And salihat, of course, it is an ism. Adjectives are ism. All right, ism means nasab state, plural of salihah. Hasibal ladhina jtarahu sayyati an naj'alahum kalladhina amanu wa amilu salihat sawa'an, equal, mahyahum, their life. All right, sawa'an. Sawa means to do the same, equal, and it's nasab here, but to emphasize, is it really same, equal? Mahya, we know is an ism. The mim gives it away. The haya is life, and mahya, a state of life. Hum, mahya, hum, their life. Wa mamatuhum, and their death. And mamatuhum, and mamatuhum, their death. Sa'a, evil. Ma yahkumun, what they judge. This is present future tense. The ya and the waw nun, they, hakama is judge. Ma yahkumun. Sawa'am mahyahum wa mamatuhum sa'a ma yahkumun. Nay, do those who have wrought evil deeds think that he will make them like those who believe and do good, that their life and their death shall be equal? Evil it is that they judge. All right, here we saw the word as or, but somehow the translation puts a nay there. it's a continuation from the previous verse, right? Or do those who commit evil think? So referring to a group of people who are inclined to commit evil actions. So the verbal noun ishtirah derived from the word jaraha, denotes any harm inflicted on the body. Since committing sins hurts the sinner's soul, the verbal form ishtarahu, the harm is used in this verse. All right, so this particular Mufassirin is explaining to us the origin of the word jaraha. Jaraha. It is derived from the word jaraha, which means any harm inflicted on the body. So when you do evil, we are inflicting harm on ourselves, souls. So that is why they use the word ishtarahu. So it's a different word for us. That is why I put it up as one of the words that we are learning. Inshallah, all other words we are quite familiar with. Sayyi'at from the word soap, and plural as sayyi'at, sayyi'ah. All right, Allah highlights the thoughts of one who commits evil. Right, so what are they thinking? So hasiballadhina jtarahu sayyi'at. Do those who commit the evil, do they think? Now let's go on. And that is continuing here, just to analyze the words here first. And naj'alahum, that we make them kalladhi, like, or we put them, or we place them. The word ja'ala actually is the word is place. And a place is better than make, right? Because it is Allah placing different groups of people. Maybe you should change the translation, right, to a place rather than to make. Naj'ala al-ahu. Or we place them like those, that means categorize them. Wa'amilu salihat. So here Allah identify another group of people. They not only do they believe, but they do amal salih. Amal salih, or in this case, it is plural, salihat, and lots of amal salih. So one group is committing evil acts, another group is believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and from their belief in Allah, they actually do acts of righteousness. So can Allah place them in the same category? Of course not, right? So this may be understood to refer to those among the people of earlier revelations who deviated from their scriptures and indulged in sin, but who nonetheless continued to think of themselves as believers. All right. Here, there is a difference here. What he means is that these people are like those who believe. Yes, it is a reference to the fact that these people who commit sin, but they continue saying that they believe. So they are banging on their beliefs, that in that belief they are fine. You see, so Allah is saying that believing alone is not enough. You need to do amal salih. Then Allah categorized these two. Can they be placed in the same category? Right. So this is talking about those people. So they might have thought themselves to be on the same level as Muslims who do good deeds. So because of their belief, they consider themselves in the same place as those who Muslims who do good deeds. So Allah is questioning them. Allah put forth a question. Do they really think that those people who are committing evil acts are the same, or Allah will put them in the same category as those who believe and do amal salih? Sawa'am mahyahum wa mamatuhum, same, their life and their death. See, are they living in the same way? Right, one is committing all kinds of sins, although he believes, but he's committing sins, right? As the Jews tend to contend the fact that they have their books, and they believe in their books, and that's fine. They don't need to believe in whatever Rasulullah has brought, although Allah in the previous verses has mentioned that this is the path. Rasulullah is taking the same path that were given to them, right? But the problem with them is that they have differed from the truth because of envy. So are their lives the same? Their lives and their death, right? The way they live and the way they die, are they going to die in the same manner? They might also have considered the two groups are equal in Allah's sight, both in this life and the life after death, when people are given their reward or punishment. Of course, here is mentioning of death. Right? At death, you can even look at the moment of death, where we know that people who are, inshallah, has um, good amals and strong beliefs in Allah, the angel will come in a beautiful form, and those who are evil, the angels will come to them in an ugly and obnoxious form. These verses may also be taken as a general discourse of defining how people are judged on Allah's scales. So this is, you think it's like that, but this is how Allah puts it, right? They cannot be the same. Shows that believers who do good deeds are definitely in a higher position. Sa'ama yahkumun. So Allah comes around and Allah says, no, it's not going to be true. But Allah just says that evil is whatever they judge. So it's a very beautiful way of presenting the reply to the question that Allah has put forth. Right? Instead of answering the question, Allah actually identifies their judgment. They are making a judgment of themselves and the people who believe and do amal saleh. How can and say, talking about similar way of life and similar way of death? No, Allah says. Allah didn't say no, but Allah puts it in such a way that we realize how horrible it is by saying evil is what they judge. So they are the one who judge it. Allah is not the one who judge their states in that state, in that condition. Says that putting the evildoers and the righteous on the same level, either in this life or in the next, conflicts with the basic and permanent rule upon which the universe is founded, namely the truth. So if you talk about the truth, then the evil and the good cannot be on the same place, in the same category. Thus, the truth is fundamental to both the universe and the divine law. Consequently, both the universe and human life are set to progress by means of this truth. If you want development in yourself, progression in yourself, success in yourself, and of course, the universe follows everything that is true, because or else the universe will be in a state of chaos if the truth is not abided by all the elements of the universe. They have their own rules and regulations, as Allah says. Allah created all and Allah guided all. The truth. This manifests itself in a distinction between evildoers and those who do good in all respects, and in the individual judging of people on the basis of what each has earned through life. Right. So it's very clear here. Right. Allah has made a distinction. Allah has made it clear that there's no way the evildoers and the good can be the same. And the judging of people is just wrong. They judge it in an evil way if they ever come to a conclusion that the evil ones and the good ones are in the same category. You can see it is the phrasing has to be implied, and the meaning has to be implied. That is a beautiful way of approaching the subject matter without directly mentioning the reality of what their lives are. It is absolutely against the awareness of justice divinely ordained in human nature, right? It is definitely not just. It's not fair. That's what Allah says. Sa'ama yahkumun. Evil is what they have judged, right? Because there's no justice here. How can good and evil be in the same category? Whether a person leads a virtuous life or a sinful one, in his heart he always respects virtue and virtuous people. You see, I find it quite interesting. I mean, when I was in PPIS, we used to call ustads over to guide the youngsters. A number of them are wayward youngsters, but when the ustad comes, everybody is like so respectful of the ustad. Like they give him that kind of on acknowledgement, that he is someone that you should listen to. They listen to him. And whether they take the advice or not, that's another question. But at least, what is important that they really admire this ustaz. I mean, people who are bad when they see people who are good, they do wonder how these people can be so good. Right? And the admiration is there. Maybe they don't show it, right? But as human beings, we value good akhlaq. We value good words. We value beautiful character, and we those who are not good would actually be envious sometimes, you know. Or of course, sometimes they just can't help being bad. A person who views matters in an unbiased manner will never like that the virtuous and the sinful be treated equally. In all laws treated by men in various periods of time, this principle of justice has always basically remained in consideration. If the virtuous and the sinful are equal in his eyes, then this would necessitate that either he is oppressive and unjust. So that means if you are making the good and the evil the same, if Allah is to say that, then he is oppressive. Then he is not fair. He is a trial on everyone. The evil ones are given a reward for their evil deeds, and it's absolutely insensitive towards virtue and vice. And so this cannot be the case. Allah cannot allow the categorizing of to put good and evil in the same category. Of course, such concepts cannot even be imagined for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he is fair and just, then it is necessary that he bring about a day in which he administers impartial justice between people on that day. He should then fully reward those who led a just and virtuous life and fully punish those who led a life of disobedience and defiance. And that's why as Muslims, sometimes some of us are in environments where we are abused. And of course, we see our Muslim brothers in the world, Palestinians, being attacked, and the world just seems to be just looking the other way. We've got our Uyghurs in China, we've got our Rohingyas. They have been thrown out of Burma, and they are living life in a concentration camp, right? Refugee camp, right? Not concentration, refugee camp, sorry. Refugee camp. They are taken care of by some individuals. Anyway, but we see them abusing us, but because we believe in the next world, right? Allah is fair. In this world also, they will be punished, and in the next world also. So that we want them to be punished, but Allah is fair, and that is why Allah says, after he says Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, he says Maliki Yawmiddin to tell us that he's going to be king, and as a king, he's going to judge. The advent of such a day is also necessary because this world is governed on the basis trials and tests. That's what the world is all about. This is a place of trials and tests, and how we move through the trials and tests, right? Inshallah, we do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, following the instructions in the Quran and the hadith of Rasulullah. Inshallah, our life will be good in this world and the next world. Here, both the righteous and the evildoers have been given the opportunity to lead a life of virtue or vice. Almighty will not necessarily punish those who lead a life of vice here, or reward those who lead a virtuous one. So as we are aware, many a times we come across the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Hakim and Alim together, right? He judges because with his knowledge, and he makes a judgment whether he should punish the evildoers or not by what he knows of them and what he knows of the realities of things. He has his reasons for not punishing evildoers despite doing lots of evil actions. And we wonder, just like in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the first 13 years of the life of the Muslims in Mecca, it was difficult, right? They were being abused, they were being tortured, they were being humiliated. Rasulullah also didn't escape such humiliation and abuse from these people. And that is why one day when Rasulullah was by the Kaaba, and the Sahaba came to him and says, Ya Rasulullah, why don't you just dua to Allah to destroy these people? They are just evil. Right. Rasulullah says, I am sent as a mercy to humanity. Rahmatan lil alamin. Not alamin to the worlds. Rahmah to the worlds, and the worlds means all of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the jinn, the mankind, animals and such. So he's not going to curse them and do bad and evil for them. Although he had at times cursed individuals who were so bad that that there is a lesson to learn from the curse of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For example, he did curse or he did predict the death of one of Abu Lahab's son. And Abu Lahab's son, after his death was predicted, Rasulullah says that he will be devoured by the lions of the desert, by the dogs of the desert, or lions of the desert, dogs of the desert, as Rasulullah mentioned. And from that day on, Abu Lahab's son, despite not accepting Rasulullah as a prophet. Now, these people, although they don't accept Rasulullah as a prophet, they did honor Rasulullah because of his great virtue, his honesty, and his truthfulness, right? And so they realize that there is some power in the curse of Rasulullah or in what Rasulullah said. So he lived life very, very worried. And on one of his business trips, actually, he asked them to fortify him so well, but he was eventually eaten up by the dogs of the desert. So that is, I'm talking about evil people. So evil people, whether Allah punishes them or not, sometimes the evil people becomes a test on us. And so we need to know how to manage the whole situation. Right? They are tests for us. And of course, the choice is there, and Allah has given us a choice between good and bad, and we make our choices in life. That is why we are punished. We are not puppets here, right? That live by the strings attached to us, and we have no sense of choice, or no free will. We do have free will. Definitely we have free will. The Quran testifies to the fact that we have free will, for the fact that the Quran tries to engage us and helps us to make decisions between good and bad. So Allah decides when He's going to punish or when He's going to reward people. Some people might be doing so much good, but doesn't seem to be rewarded by others. And others might not see them being rewarded, being a state of being punished, being tortured. And when we went through, we did go through in our Sunday class, so we go through stories of personalities of Islam. And we saw descendants of Rasulullah being massacred, being tortured, But in reality, for us who are aware of true beliefs, especially in the descendants of Rasulullah, we call them the Ahl al-Bayt, they have, despite being punished, despite being tortured, they have security in themselves. They have ease in themselves. There's happiness and joy in themselves, because they have a really good relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they are obedient slaves of Allah, and also obedient followers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Inshirah tells us, Inna ma'al usri yusra, right? Surely with difficulty there is ease. And ma'al usri, the difficulty is one, but the ease is a lot. So despite our difficulties in life, we are in a state of ease because Allah blesses us with ease. And people might not realize that the Almighty has appointed a special day for this reward and punishment. The Quran has been revealed to inform people of the punishment which will be meted out on that day, and to inform and give glad tidings of the reward that will be given to people on that day. So there's a recurrent message in the Quran of punishment in the next world and reward in the next world. It is as if people who are making fun of these warnings and glad tidings of the view that the creator of this universe has created it for his own entertainment and sport, and has no concern for its good and evil. So that's what it seems. If you think that there'll be no resurrection, there'll be no punishment, there'll be no rewards, that is as if this whole place is a game. Right? Allah has said He didn't create everything in vain. There are reasons for His creation. It's not just a matter of entertaining Himself, right? And not concerned for good and evil. So the people who follow evil ways in the world do want that there should be no accountability. I mean, that's normal, right? They don't want to be punished for their actions, and no rewards and punishment. For this concept goes against the enjoyment of life. But it is against the justice and wisdom of the Rabb of the worlds that He should treat the good and the evil alike, and should not care to see how the righteous believer has lived in this world, and how the sinful unbeliever has been enjoying it. We have gone through that story with Zainal Abidin Rashid, Zainal Abidin, as a grandson of Rasulullah, and the Jewish blacksmith was very poor, and Zainal Abidin had some wealth also. So, but the reality is that we control ourselves a lot. We don't do this, we don't do that. We are restricted in our movements in some sense. Of course, we have lots of things that we can do also. So one of them kept himself and subjected to moral restrictions all his life, rendered the rights of those to whom they were due, restrained himself from the unlawful benefits and pleasures, and continued to incur losses for the sake of the truth. Losses in the sense that you are not able to enjoy whatever is outside there. And people say, you're losing out by not enjoying all these things in life. Your life is so boring. So you say, I've got my way of thinking. The other fulfills desires in every possible way, neither recognizing the rights of Allah, nor hesitated from violating the rights of the people, went on collecting benefits and good things of life in every possible. So this is their opinion of life. They become rich, they become powerful, they start to abuse, and are they going to be the same? So can it be expected of Allah that He would overlook the difference in the lives of the two men? In the end, both be the same. No greater injustice could be conceived. There's no way Allah is going to do all these things. All right. So that the verse has a lot of explanation to it because there's a lot of subtle meanings in that previous verse. وَخَلَقَ اللَّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بِالْحَقِّ. And created, of course, created here is fi'al madi, the He is embedded, but it refers to Allah because Allah is in it, in the rafa state. So Allah is the one who created. And created Allah, samawat, the skies, wal ard, and the earth. Now we look at samawat, it has a kasra, but it is not jar, right? Because it is a thing that is created. As mentioned, this form, right, we've got the plural of female structures is samawatu, is rafa, but nasab and jar, both samawati. Here we see arda taking nasab, wal arda, because it is a thing that is created bil haq, with the truth. Walitujza, and so that, really is so that, tujza, be rewarded. Tujza, it's passive here. Walitujza, the ta referring to a nafs. All right, the nafs is what we call the night fa'il, but because it has a kullu before it, it goes into a jar state. Kullu nafsin, because kullu is huruf jar. وَلِتُجْزَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ. Bima is with what? Kasabat, it earned. Right? It referring to the nafs. Right? Nafs is considered as a female entity. وَخَلَقَ اللَّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بِالْحَقِّ وَلِتُجْزَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ. وَهُمْ, and they, لَا يُظْلَمُونَ, not they be wrong. And here we can see it is in its passive form also. When you see u and r, we know at its passive form. La yudlamun, they be wrong. So Allah says, and Allah created the heavens and the earth with truth, and that every soul may be rewarded for what it has earned, and they shall not be wrong. We have this in Surah Yasin also. Okay. So Allah reminds us He is the creator. They all know that. All the Quraysh, they are aware of that, and they believe in that. They believe. If you ever ask him, the Quran has come around to ask Rasulullah to ask them, who is the creator of the heavens and the earth? And they will say Allah, right? Allah replied for them, and Allah says they will say Allah, because that is what their beliefs are. Right? All of them, all of the people or the idolaters, they believe that Allah is the creator of the skies and the earth. The only problem with them is that they give partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَخَلَقَ اللَّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بِالْحَقِّ. And Allah says with the truth, not as a sport, not to play. Allah reminds them, right, there is truth in the creation of the skies and the earth. The reality is that the Almighty has created the heavens and the earth for a purpose. Allah has not created the earth and the heavens for mere sport, but it is a wise system with a purpose. In this system, it is absolutely unimaginable that the people who may have accomplished good deeds by the right use of powers and means and resources granted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the people who may have spread mischief and wickedness by their wrong use, should end up ultimately in the dust of the death, and there should be no life thereafter in which their good and bad deeds should lead to good or bad results according to justice. It's quite incomprehensible. It's just impossible, right? That Allah, who has done everything in the truth, would allow those who have denied His authority and His sovereignty and decided to use all the faculties that He has given them. That's why it's called, the religion is called deen. Deen, we recall, comes from the word dain, which means a loan, a debt. So Allah has given us alone in all the faculties that we have, the relationship, whatever resources that we have, and we're supposed to use it according to the way Allah wants it to use it. So our deen is our way of life, the way we manage the resources that Allah has blessed us with. So those who mismanage their resources, they are the evil and bad ones. If this were so, this universe should be the plaything of a thoughtless being and not a purposeful system devised by a wise one. I prefer the word one, not a word. وَلِتُجْزَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ, Allah says, and will be recompensed. Because we talk about rewarded. Some translation actually put reward there. The word reward, you can put repaid there also. It's not so bad, because repaid also maybe not so good. So repayment. Reward, recompense is the better word. That means you are good, you get good. If you're evil, you get evil. But reward always have a sense of good in it. وَتُجْزَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ, every single soul will be recompensed with whatever they earned. So it's not only what they did, but they earn. From what they do, they earn. Right? They earn the reward, they earn the sin, or they earn the rewards. It is a requirement of this purpose that a day come wherein the Almighty decide between people, and each person be rewarded or punished with full justice in accordance with his deeds. Such a day does not come, and this world continues to exist for a time and then ends without any day or reward or punishment. Then this would mean that it is without a purpose. It is useless and baseless place, and a playground of amusement for its creator, who is interested in sport and has created it for his merrymaking. He has fashioned this enormous creation without any purpose. Of course, it's not true, right? Allah is all wise and all true. وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ, and they be wrong. لَا يُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا وَلَا تُجْزَوْنَ إِلَّا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. And that is Surah Yasin. Allah says not be wronged a single one. La yudlamu nafsun shay'aw wa la tujzauna illa ma kuntum, and they will be reward on whatever they have done. Understand? This one is earned. Earned is a higher level than done. It is essential that on that day, impartial justice be meted out to every soul, and it should not be wronged in any matter. Now, Allah said He has not wronged a person a single tiny bit. If a person is wrong in any manner or treated unjustly, then this would mean that this world is a totally meaningless and purposeless life creation. This qualifying clause also refutes the baseless concepts of polytheism and deception with which both the idolaters and the people of the book were afflicted. They are always hoping for, because Allah says Allah will not, and they be wronged. Right? They will not be wrong. They will not be unjustly treated. They will not be unfairly treated. But by the concept of intercession of the people of the book and also the polytheists, right? When the people of the book is concerned, when the Christians are concerned, they believe that by embracing Jesus, they will be saved on the day of judgment. They believe in the day of judgment. The Christians believe in the day of judgment, and they believe they will be saved in the day of judgment just by embracing embracing Jesus. So there's the fairness there. They can do all kinds of evil things, but because they take Jesus as God or Son of God or whatever they want to take Him as, then He will be there to intercede for them. So that would show injustice. But the Jews are concerned, they are banging on the fact that they've got lots of prophets in their ancestors, among the ancestors. So these prophets will come and help them out and buy their freedom from the hellfire. Whereas the polytheists, on the other hand, they come up with this idea of praying to the angels, who are supposed to be daughters of God, and the angels will come up and put in a good word for them, or just pull strings and allow them to go into heaven, right? But the Jews are concerned, quite a number of Jews actually, right, at this moment, at that time of Rasulullah, some also are inclined to not want to believe in the next world because of the fact they don't want accountability of their actions. So in the presence of these concepts, believing in the hereafter or disbelieving in it is the same. Sorry. How can impartial and unbiased justice be imagined when it is believed that whatever the deeds of a person, the deities and partners he imputes to Allah will earn him salvation through their intercession and influence? So where is that fairness? So everybody will be dealt fairly. No such thing as calling on to deities, gods, and partners of Allah who will save them from punishment. In this case, the door to injustice and oppression will stand open, right? If that is the case. If the case that they are allowed to, as mentioned, to be free from punishment because they are being interceded. Afara'aita is a question. Do fa is then. Do then you see? It's a then there. Just add in a then. Do then you see? Afara'aita. Afara'aita. Do then you see? Man one. Ittakhadha or manittakhadha. Of course, supposed to be man, but then it puts a kasra, so it goes on smoothly to the next shaddad. Afara'aita manittakhadha ilahahu hawahu. Right here is it's a question. Fa is then ra'aita from the word ra'aya, and the ta is a you, so it's fi'al madi here. Ittakhadha also fi'il madi, right? And because you see the kasra, it's fathah there. Ilahahu, his God. Ilahi, God. Ilahahu. So he took ilaha becomes nasab, yeah, because it's the one that's been taken. Who is he? Hawahu, his desire. Hawa is desire. Who is his desire? Wa adallahu, and leave him to stray. Who leaves him to stray? Allah. See, Allah is here. Allah is in its rafa. So Allah is the one that adallah. Root word is lalala. Adallah, cause him to stray. Actually, if you say cause him to stray, people have issues with that translation, because then they would see that Allah is the one who caused him to stray. But when we translate it as leave him to stray, then he decides to stray and Allah left him as he is. All right, al-ilm, on knowledge. وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ ilm, on knowledge. Ala is jar, so you have ilmin here instead of ilman. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ ilm. وَخَتَمَ, khatam is to seal, and it's past tense, fi'il madi. He sealed ala sam'ihi, on his hearing. Ala, on, sama' is hearing. He is his, on his hearing. Wa qalbihi, and his heart. Qalbun is heart. Qalbihi. Wa ja'ala, and he puts, past tense is not puts here, but put is a past tense, and he puts fi'il madi here. Ala basarihi, on his sight. Ala is on. Basar is sight. He is his, on his sight. Rishawah, covering. Wa khatama ala sam'ihi wa qalbihi wa ja'ala ala basarihi rishawah. Faman yahdihi, then who? Yahdihi, guides him. Yahdi is fi'il mudari. The ya is referring to a person. He, yahdi, hidayah is the root word here. He is him. Min ba'dillah, min ba'di is after or besides Allah. And from, so from, is from after. Min is from, ba'di is after, from after Allah. Allah, of course, in the jar state, because ba'di is a jar. Min ba'dillah. Afala tadhakkarun, is why, fa is then, la is not, then why not, or why then not? Tadhakkarun, you remember or you take heed. You try to recall. Actually, more of take heed. You take heed. You take heed. When you talk about remember, you might see it as a different word altogether. You take heed. Be mindful is to take heed. I'm trying to make it Allah asks us to consider. This is the word to see. The word is see, but translated, have you then considered him? When you look at a person, you start to think about him. Who takes his low desire for his God, and Allah has made him heir, having knowledge, and has set a seal upon his ear and his heart, and put a covering upon his eye. Who can then guide him after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Will you not then be mindful? So Allah says, consider the situation. Do you ever consider? Do you consider one who takes his God as his desire as his God? So here we see that a God doesn't have to be a physical entity, like, for example, Alat and Uzza and all those things, gods that people might be praying to, which is created into some kind of form so that it becomes appeasing to people or they find it easy to relate to. But here, the God that is being mentioned is your desire. When you talk about the God as being your desire, as being your God, it means that you are inclined to obedience to your desire. Because the word ilah, as mentioned before, means one whom you are inclined to, one whom you would obey, one whom you would, live life for. So you live life and you obey your desire. So it becomes a God. Desire is considered as a God because that is what you turn to your desire, right? And obey it all times. He who abides by his lust, and whatever his lust portrays as good, he implements it. And whatever his lust portrays as evil, he abandons it. So the last would say, oh, it's good, we need to hang out with our friends, and it's okay for us to get involved with the opposite sex, or even nowadays they have the same sex. It's really sad that human being has gone down to that level to insist that there is no more he or she. And it seems that in some schools in America also, the kids are not allowed to identify themselves as girl and boy, so that there's this neutral gender coming up, that kind of thing. I'm surprised also that in some forms of us, we are that filling up male, female, others. I had come across that kind of form before. Male, female, others. All right, what do you mean by others? Like just gone berserk. Anyway, he abides by Islam. So that's the reality of these people out there who wants to promote homosexuality, whatever they call themselves, LGBTQ plus or whatever, right? This is all about lust, right? Wanting to be normal according to them. It's normal for us to indulge in our lust. The inimitable Quranic style draws here an extraordinary image of the human soul when it abandons the basic and permanent rule of truth in order to follow fleeting desires, making of them a deity from which concepts, rules, feelings, and actions are derived. So they make their own rules from their desires. Whatever the desires promote as what is good for themselves, they would form rules and regulations to appease their desires. So they have denounced Allah as the sovereign, as the one whom they should abide by, or the rules should become from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this way, does man submit to desire and obey its dictates. This extraordinary situation is painted in a tone that invites strong censure, right? So Allah is saying, have you seen, have you considered, if you look at all those people who take their souls as their desire, as desires, as their God. Right? For sure, right? When Allah says, do you consider those people? For sure, we are not. Definitely, these people are doomed because they have taken their desires as their God. وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ, and Allah has left them to stray on knowledge. Right. There's a very interesting reflection here where this verse is concerned. As mentioned, Allah has mentioned also in Surah Al-Baqarah that those people who insist on disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah leaves them to stray blindly. They are wandering blindly, right, in their trespasses. Right, so Allah leaves them to stray. Now, Allah ilm, that is the question. They have two meanings to it. So an example should be carefully considered. A person of this ilk deserves to be abandoned by Allah so that he goes even further astray. No light of guidance will be given to him by divine mercy. He sees guidance, he rejects guidance because he sees guidance as a state to prevent him from enjoying life, from doing whatever he wants to. So he rejects guidance, he rejects everything. So he's left. Okay. Sometimes we also, as parents, we have been advising our children and this and that, but they still insist on their ways. Okay, now we just do whatever you want to do now. We'll of course, as parents, we continue to do for them and pray for them. But at the end of the day, they are individuals. All of us are individuals in the next world. We do not. We can't really help each other much in the next world. Of course, there are those who can be of help when Allah allows them to intercede. All right. After all, he has left no room in his heart for such guidance when he worships his own desires. The phrase ala ilm may be translated as in full knowledge, in which case it refers to Allah's knowledge that such a person deserves to be left astray. So this is one opinion of the word ala ilm, on the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He leaves them astray. He knows who they are. He knows what they do. He knows everything about them. As Allah says in Surah Al-Mulk, "Ala ya'lamu man khalaqa wa huwa al-latiful habir." Isn't it not the one who created? Ala ya'lamu man khalaqa. He knows. Ala ya'lamu man khalaqa, the one. Wa huwa al-latiful habir. And he is al-latif. And he is al-khabir. Latif, very subtle in the way he gives, very subtle in the way he addresses people. And khabir, he knows the inner realities of people. I love that verse. Alternately, and it can be translated as rendered here as despite his knowledge. So here, there's two meanings. First meaning is that Allah, with all his knowledge, he left of these people, he left them to stray. The other one is that these people, despite having knowledge, chooses to stray. Right? So Allah leaves them to stray despite them having knowledge. So they have knowledge about what's good and what's bad, and they insist on following what's bad. They insist on disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and some of them justify their actions. And that's what Allah has mentioned in the Quran. The shaitan has beautified their actions. So they see their action as beautiful by justifying their actions. In other words, his knowledge of the truth does not deter him from pursuing his desires. Right? Yes, he knows the truth, but he goes on to pursue his desires. He becomes slaves of his desires. Such a person deserves to be left straying in blindness. وَخَاتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ. And he referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sealed on, he puts a seal, he sealed their hearts. So their hearing, the hearing is sealed and the hearts are sealed. He sealed, there is a seal, and he puts a seal on his hearing and his heart. So he does not hear what benefits him and understands not what would lead him to guidance. So because the ears are sealed, and Allah has mentioned in the Quran, they have ears, but they cannot hear. They have eyes, but they cannot see. Right? They have heart, but they don't understand. So because they have confounded themselves with this obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which creates seals in their sight and their hearts. So whatever they hear doesn't benefit them, and whatever they don't understand what would lead them to guidance. وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَارِهِ. And he put on their sight a covering so they can't see the truth. وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَارِهِ غِشَاوَةً. He sees not the evidence with which he can be enlightened. When one follows his vain desires and regards his concupiscence as object of worship, that means his desires and caprice, right, they will turn into a covering his vision and hearing and heart. So all these things covers them completely. They cannot receive guidance in any way. They see, but they hear, but it doesn't mean anything to them. They won't be guided. As a consequence, the words of truth may not affect him. In this way, he's not worthy of being guided, and thereby he is led astray. He's left astray. He's led astray by his desires. فَمَنْ يَهْدِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ. Then who can guide him after Allah? If this is his state, and he doesn't get any guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how can he be guided? There's no way he can be guided because he's in that state of being of disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can he be guided when the truth is sent to him? He can't hear it, or he doesn't hear it, he doesn't understand it, and he doesn't see it. So that's it. All guidance comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can provide anyone with guidance or error, not even his chosen messengers. That is the understanding. We all must understand that we will never be able to guide anyone. We can set good examples, we can advise them, we can invite them, but whether they become guided or not is Allah. So that is why we turn to Allah and make our du'as to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they be guided. It is all determined by Allah alone. Afala tadhakkarun. Allah comes here. Why then not you start to take heed? Try to understand the scenario that Allah has presented. The scenario of a man who has taken his desires as his God. He becomes a slave of his desires, so much so that guidance doesn't mean anything to him, or he justifies disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He becomes deaf, blind, and he can't understand anything. So you are supposed to think and take heed and understand the reality of such a people who will not be getting guidance from anyone else, because he is not getting guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah has left him astray. So when a person takes heed, he will break the chains of desire and return to the straight path of truth. That is why we are supposed to recall. Dhakara. Dhakara means to recall, to remember, to take heed, to use our intellect. The dhikr is to use our intellect to remember Allah, to think about the realities of our life. No one who treads this path will ever go astray. So whoever sit moments in their life to dhikr, they will be in a state of good. I mean, it's not just dhikr subhanallah, it's to think and ponder, to take heed, to recall, right? And to realize lots of things that are happening in their lives. It becomes obvious that only those people who deny the hereafter, who want to serve their lusts, and who regard belief in the hereafter as an obstacle to their freedom. So this is obvious to those people, right? They want all these things, so they are not interested in taking heed. Then once they have denied the hereafter, their servitude of the self goes on increasing, and they go on wandering further into deviation. They commit every kind of evil without feelings any qualms. They do not hesitate to usurp the rights of others. They cannot be expected to restrain themselves when there is an opportunity for them to commit an excess or injustice only because of a regard for justice and truth in their heart. Right? They cannot be expected to read just because they have understanding of justice, they have understanding of truth. It doesn't mean that they won't commit excesses, right? When they see a good opportunity to commit excesses, right, they will go for it because they are so used to obedience to their nafs. There was once, I can't remember, I had a story, an interesting story. Either a Christian or it's a disbeliever. Okay, let's call him a disbeliever. But this disbeliever, he has a tendency to fight his nafs and whatever it is. So he that's what he does. Whenever nafs asks him to do something, he knows it's wrong, he will not do it. When nafs asks him to do something, he will not do it. So one day he was invited to be a Muslim, and nafs says no. So he rejected his nafs and he became a Muslim. The events and incidents that can serve as a warning for a man are witnessed by them too, but they draw the wrong conclusion that whatever they are doing is right and they should do the same. So they might see, but somehow they just blind themselves. Sometimes, they are, we might experience this as we grow older, in our younger days, we are being taught by our parents. And then as we grow older, we have company, we mix with companies that's not very good, or out of peer pressure, we end up doing things which might be sinful, right? And in the beginning part, when you start off to do sin, it's going to be very difficult. Even to lie when you are not alive, we're not used to lying. It's very difficult. But once you are doing it again and again, it becomes part and parcel of your life, and you just give justifications for all that you do. So much so that some people justify their actions by saying, "Oh, what to do? Allah has created me to commit sin. It's my life. That's predicted. I mean, that's already destined for me." No word of advice moves them. No argument which can stop a man from evil appeals to them. But they go on devising and furnishing more and more arguments to justify their unbridled freedom. And their minds remain day and night engaged only in devising ways and means of fulfilling their own interests and desires in every possible way instead of engaging in the good thought. See, the verse was asking us to think about it, to take heed of the condition of these people, and this is what they are. This is an express proof of the fact that the denial of the hereafter is destructive for human morals. The only thing that can restrain man within the bounds of humanity is a feeling that man is not responsible, but has to render, not irresponsible, but has to render an account of his deeds before Allah. So that is the only way, that thing that will restrain you. The only thing that stops you from disobedience to Allah is that you will be accountable for your actions. That is what it is that stops us from doing all this. That's why we have taqwa. That's why we are always on guard in our actions, in all our actions, right? Because we are aware of the fact that we will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Being devoid of this feeling, even if a person is highly learned, he cannot help adopting an attitude and behavior worse than that of all the animals. All right, so that's reality. وَقَالُوا, and they say, مَا هِيَ إِلَّا حَيَاتُنَا الدُّنْيَا. Ma, not. Okay, ma can be what and not. Here is not. Because why you know it's not for sure here? This one for sure you know it's not because of the illah. And when you see the illah, ma illah, then you know ma is not. So it's mentioned ma can be a what. وَقَالُوا مَا هِيَ it إِلَّا حَيَاتُنَا. It is our life. The world. Ad-dunya, the world. The world is our life. Illa, except that hayatuna, the world, our life is the world. Namutu, we die. Namut, from the maut here. Na is the we die. Present, future. Right? Rafa. Wa nahya, and we live. Present. This is also Rafa, but you can't see the U there because of the alif ma'thur right there. Wa nahya, and we live. Na is we. Haya is live. Wa ma, and not yuhlikuna. Halaka is to destroy. And khalaqa is to create. Halaka is to destroy. Wa ma yuhlikuna, and not destroys us. Illa, except dahar, the time. Wa qalu ma hiya illa hayatuna dunya namutu wa nahya wa ma yuhlikuna illa dahr. Wa ma, and not lahum, for them, bidhalika, in that, be is in dhalika, that, min any knowledge. So here min is not of is also okay actually, but mostly translated as any knowledge. Min because of jar here, jar state here. In whom illa, not this. Again, in can become if, but in will always take a not when you say an illa. In whom illa yadhunnun, not they, but they guess. One is to guess, right? To think, one, but more of guessing. Yadhunnun, they guess. And they say there is nothing but our life in this world. We live and die. Nothing destroys us but time. And they have no knowledge of that. They only conjecture. So Allah says, they said, Allah now refers to what these people say. These are people who become slaves of their desire. They say there is nothing in it except life of the world. That's it. Hayatuna, our life of the world. Could be an off there because we can't see the sorry, this alif ma'thur right there. We can't see the jar said our life of the world. وَقَالُوا مَا هِيَ إِلَّا حَيَاتُنَا الدُّنْيَا. That's it. We are living in this world. We live and live. Let's live and let live, and let's live and enjoy our life. That's what it is. Allah mentions in the creed of Ad-Dahriyah and the Arab idolaters who embrace their creed denying resurrection. Namutu, All right, so these are people who keeps on saying, they keep on making themselves believe that the life of the world is the only life and there's nothing but a life of the world. Is it for us? And Ma is a very strong negation. Definitely no. Nothing in it at all except that it is just the life of the world. Namutu, we die, Wanahia, and we live. The Namut is that before we are alive, we were dead. We were not around, so we are dead as constant state. It's not that they know that we will live, we will die, and then we will go back to life. No, they don't believe in resurrections. Namutu wa nahya wa ma yuhlikuna illa dahar, and not destroys us except the time. So only time destroys us. That's it. There's nothing to it. No God, nothing. They say there is only this life. Some people die while others are born to life without resurrection or judgment. Some die, that's it. Some people go on living, die, time kills us. This was the creed of Arab idolaters who used to deny resurrection, in addition to the creed of the atheist philosophers, among them who denied the creation and resurrection. So there are two groups. The atheists were there at one also. They are not a new state. Those who want to believe in God, so they don't believe in creation. They believe that they appear right out of nowhere, and they're not created. So it's just by coincidence, by some kind of, what they call it, it's the term that they use, to show incidental happenings and things like that. So it's all about denying resurrection. This was also a statement of atheist philosophers who deny the creator and think that the world will return to its original form once every 36,000 years. And everything will restart its life cycle again. So somehow they come up with this idea, 36,000 years, so we are just 2,000 years only of life. This is 36,000. It's going to be a long, long time before the world will recreate itself. They see that death does not occur according to a defined system after a certain number of days and years. Right? So there is no fixed time frame for death or life on earth. Allah has mentioned us that our life, we have an ajal, we have a term, right, to cover in our life. And when when the term is complete, that's when we die. Maut takes place. But the word maut in itself means that we're going to be resurrected. So instead, they think that the passage of time deprives them of life. That's it. Time, just because of time, the time as we go older, we just die. That's it. But sometimes some people do die early. There are reasons for their death early. Mostly they're sick and things like that. So time is the one that kills them. Death comes to all, children and the elderly, the healthy and the ill, the strong and the weak. Therefore, when we carefully consider the reason behind all this, time is an inadequate explanation. To say time is the one that causes death is not good an explanation, because there are many times people not everyone live to an old age. You talk about time, then it's going to be old age, right? People who are healthy seems healthy, they just die. People who are, we've got accidents and things like that which cause people to die. No, it's not time. So the word dahar denotes the passage of time. Materialists maintain that the passage of time leads lifetime leads to human perdition. Perdition means destruction of human beings. Time is going to cause human destruction. Following vain desires blinds the eye of the heart, such that he denies resurrection and regards life restricted to transience. This is life as it is. They claim that this cycle was repeated for infinity, thus contradicting the sound reason and the divine revelation. So we know life is not forever, right? So they have contradicted Allah's revelation, which says that the world has a fixed time, and when the time comes, right, there will be chaos and destruction of the whole world. So short-sighted were they, that they considered life to be nothing beyond what they saw before their very eyes. One generation dies and another replaces it in life. Apparently, no hand deals death. It is all a question of days that pass and time that elapses, bringing death to all. It's time then that ends their lives, making them die. So this is their belief. This is a superficial outlook that does not go beyond appearances to discover subtle reasons and causes. Right? So they do not look further. They just want to avoid all this talk about God and, God causing us to live and causing us to die, and reasons for life and reasons for death. They just don't want that. They just want to that's it. We live and we die because in time we're going to die. As for the hadith recorded by two collectors of the Sahih and Abu Dawud and An-Nasa'i from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that Rasulullah SAW said, Yaqulu ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Yu'adhini ibnu Adam. The son of Adam curses me. Yusabbu dahra. The curse time, wa ana dahra. Sorry. The son of Adam annoys me. Yu'adhibni ibnu Adam. Yasubbu dahar, he curses time, wa ana dahar, and I am time. Biyadiyal amr, and in his hands is in my hands is the command or the matter. Uqallibu laylahu wa nahara, and I turn around night and day. In another narration, la tasubbu dahar, don't curse time. Fa inna Allah ta'ala huwa dahar. Then surely Allah Ta'ala, He is dahar, He is the time. Right, what does it mean? Shafi'i, Abu Ubaidah, and several other Imams of Tafsir explain the meaning of the Prophet's statement. Now, this is a hadith, but this hadith is linked to this particular surah verse, which mentioned dahar. So the Mufassirin needs to explain the meaning of this particular verse. Sorry, particular hadith. La tasubbu dahra fa inna Allaha huwa dahar. Don't curse time, for surely Allah, He is the time. Now, they say during the time of Jahiliyyah, when an affliction, a calamity, or a disaster struck them, the Arabs used to say, woe to ad-dahar. Woe is to curse. It's a cursing word. To ad-dahar, the time. So they used to blame such incidents on ad-dahar, cursing ad-dahar in the process. Surely it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who causes these and all things to happen. It is why when they cursed dahar, it was as if they were cursing Allah Himself, since truthfully, He causes all incidents to happen. Whatever bad or evil, nothing in this world can happen without the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, abusing ad-dahar was prohibited due to this consideration, for it was Allah whom they meant by abusing ad-dahar, which, as we said, they accused of causing distressful incidents. Right, so these people, they accuse Allah of and discuss Allah by cursing time, because the time where they are concerned refers to evil in their lives, and so they are cursing. This is the best expression of this subject. It is a desired meaning. So the meaning of dahar is that, right? The dahar means time, but the dahar also means that whatever Allah has allowed to happen. In cursing, whatever Allah has allowed to happen, right, is as good as cursing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows best. We should mention that Ibn Hazm and those of the Jahiriyah, like him, made an error when they use this hadith to include ad-dahar among Allah's most beautiful names. So ad-dahar, so they are explaining that there is this group of they have their beliefs, right, and they use hadith, but they have misinterpreted this hadith because of the lack of knowledge, because of the lack of the knowledge of the people at that time, and why Allah used the word ad-dahar. When He says, I am ad-dahar, it doesn't mean ad-dahar is one of His attributes, right here. But these people, they misunderstood, and they took ad-dahar as one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا لَهُمْ بِذَلِكَ مِنْ عَلْمٍ, and not for them by that any knowledge. And when they say that their life is only the world's life, that they will live and they will die, they will die and they will live, and time will destroy them. Allah says they don't have knowledge in saying that. They have no basis of saying that. The word dahar denotes the passage of time. Materialists maintain that the passage of life, time leads to human perdition. Following vain desires blinds the eye of the heart such that he denies resurrection and regards life restricted to transience. And that's what life is all about. Just living and living on earth, and that's it. And then they will die and become dust. Time will destroy them on earth or in the earth. According to this blessed verse, those who take their vain desires as their gods and obey shaitan and concupiscence and thereby weaken their intellect, think that life is restricted to this mundane and transcend life and deny the life in the world to come. Saying that life is nothing more, nothing except this mundane life in which we see the light and then we die, and nothing can may destroy men except the passage of time. So Allah is saying they do not have knowledge because they have denied themselves of knowledge. These are the people who has followed their desires, and so there's coverings on their eyes, their heart, and their ears, and they have no knowledge. That is why they are able to say such nonsense, right? Such illogical things, because Allah has presented His case very, very well. And not for them, not ever, ever for them, in that any knowledge. They have no knowledge in that whatsoever. There is no means of knowledge by which they might have known with certainty that after this life there is no other life for men. On what basis are they saying that there is no life after this life? What basis? Where is their proof? Where did they gain this knowledge from to be able to say there is no life after death? And that man's soul is not seized by the command of Allah. So where is the proof that they can give to prove that the soul of man is not taken by Allah? Of course, through the angels. But he dies and perishes merely in the course of time. So he has got no proof on that. So he has no knowledge, no certain knowledge of his claims. In huwa illa yadhunnun. So Allah emphasizes and says, not that, but their own conjecture. They're just making guesses. They are just coming up with ideas and concepts. In actual fact, there's nothing to it. They don't have knowledge. They don't have basis in saying what they have said. They have no knowledge to use to say what they are saying. Their words are not substantiated by knowledge, since they have lost their innate sound nature owing to following their vain desires. They regard divine omnipotence as limited and falsely conjecture that the world is limited to this mundane world. The deniers of the hereafter say these things not on the basis of any knowledge, but on mere conjecture. Maximum that they could say scientifically is we do not know whether there is any life or after death or not, but they cannot say that. We know that there is no other life after this life. Yes, they can say, because they have no knowledge of divine knowledge, or they reject divine knowledge, they can just say that we have no knowledge whether there is life after death or not. Because that's true, they don't have knowledge. They can't say, we know there is no other life after this life, because that is not of knowledge, of their knowledge. You follow what I'm saying? That in reality, nobody can say with certainty that there is no life after death, because we don't have the knowledge of the fact that there is no life after death. Likewise, they cannot make the claim of knowing scientifically that man's soul is not seized by Allah's command, but he perishes after death, just like a watch which suddenly stops function. That again, he can't be sure of that. The most they can say is just this: we do not know what exactly happens in either case. You don't know what happens during death. Right, exactly, right? You seem to just stop breathing. Human beings have been trying to figure out what causes life and death, right? Why they have been trying to keep people alive for centuries, right? But then how? Why is it suddenly you die? What causes you to die, right? So something in you causes you to be alive. Now, the question is, when the extent of the means of human knowledge, there is an equal impossibility of there being life after death, or there being no life after death. When to the extent of the means of human knowledge, there is an equal possibility of there being life after death, or there being no life after death, and the souls being seized by Allah's command, or man's dying of himself in the course of time. What is the reason that these people abandon the probability of the possibility of the hereafter and give their judgment in favor of its denial? So there's a question here, right? That is, for people who have got, just thinking of the human mind, right? Is there a possibility of life after death? Is there a guarantee there's no life after death? Or is there a guarantee there is life after death? Is there a guarantee the soul is not taken by God? Or is there a guarantee that the people just die because they die? So why take, because these are positions, so why take one position and not the other, and deny the other position? In what, under what knowledge do you have that you would do that? So do they have any other reason than this, that they in fact decide this question on the basis of their desire and not by any argument, right? So that is the reality. As they do not like that there should be any life after death, and death should mean total annihilation and a seizure of the soul by Allah's command, they make their hearts desire their creed and deny the other possibility. So Allah says they're just guessing. They have no knowledge of it whatsoever. It's just mere guess. So their guesses are wild, lack of proper reflection, sound knowledge, and an understanding of cause and effect. They do not look carefully at the two phenomena of life and death to realize that they are the result of a will other than of a man, and a reason other than the passage of time. So it's not about what human wants, what they desire. It's not about time destroying human being. It's the presence of Allah. وَإِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُنَا وَإِذَا, and when. Remember the word is not only when, but recall when. The id has a short form of dhikr inside it. وَإِذَا تُتْلَى was recited عَلَيْهِمْ on them, ayatuna, our signs, bayinat, clearly, plural here, all the signs are clearly recited. Ma kana, ma is not, kana was, hujjatahum, hujjah is arguments, right? Hujjah would be defenses. Hujjatahum, their argument, illa an anqalu, illa except, and is that, qalu, they say, it to, they say, anqalu to, to, bring. This is fi'l amr, instruction. It's fi'l madi. Bi abaina, our forefathers. B is with abaina, our forefathers. In kuntum sadiqin, if you were truthful. In kuntum sadiqin. In is if kuntum, you were sadiqin, truthful ones. Plural. وَإِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُنَا بَيِّنَاتٍ. So Allah is saying, look at these people again, right? When it is recited onto them, they are listening to it, and these are ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where He communicates with people, and they are clear, bayinat, clear proofs, definitely. So Allah has made the truth clear to them, and it is used as evidence against them, asserting that Allah is able to resurrect their bodies after they have perished and disintegrated. So the truth has been propounded to them, has been given to them. They have listened to the truth. What it was recited onto them, the ayahs of Allah, and they are definite truths. The verses are recited and they hear and acknowledge them. مَا كَانَ هُجَّتَهُمْ إِلَّا أَنْ قَالُوا أْتُوا بِآبَائِنَا. Not was their argument except that they say, bring our forefathers. So that's the only thing that they would say when Rasulullah SAW, in the verses of the Quran, reminds them of resurrection. This is similar. This is a similarly superficial outlook, devoid of any understanding of the laws of creation, Allah's wisdom, or the secret that lies beyond life and death. Right? So they don't understand. That is why they are able. That is the only argument that they have. The only recourse to attack this idea of the next world is bring back our forefathers. People, they are saying that if you really believe, if you are saying that there is resurrection, there is life after death, then bring back our forefathers to prove yourself true. That's what you're saying. People live on this planet so that they have a chance to work towards their ultimate destiny. Thus, Allah tests them by means of what He places at their disposal in this life. And they die and await a time of reckoning determined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will account for what they did in this life. Therefore, when they die, they do not return to this world. So this is an argument against what they say. It's not about coming back to life in this world, right? It is about the next world. If you don't understand this concept, it's been explain to you again and again, it's only when you die, then Allah will fix a time where all of you will be gathered and you would have to account for your actions. The purpose is served by such a return before the appointed time. They will not return merely because a group of human beings suggest it should. The major laws Allah have set in operation in the universe are not changed as a result of human suggestion or human desire or human challenge. It's a challenge. There is no question whatsoever of their naivety in answer to Allah's revelation being taken up. Why should Allah bring back their forefathers before the time He has decided in His infinite wisdom, or before the time He, in His infinite wisdom, has determined? Convince them that Allah is able to bring them back to life. Why should He do that? How amazing. Do they not see that Allah initiates life at every moment before their very eyes in according to the law He has set for life? Right? You see life coming out from nothing. So isn't that proof that Allah can bring life from the dead? Why is there a need to bring back to life your forefathers? In kuntum sadiqin, they always use this word to denounce this idea of resurrection. You all are not truthful. If you all are truthful, you all would have brought back to life our forefathers. That's how they convince the masses to disbelieve in the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when somebody tells them that there is life after death, then he must raise a dead person from the grave and present him before them, or else, and if this is not done, they cannot believe that a dead would ever be raised to life once again sometime in the future. Whereas nobody ever told them that dead would be raised to life in this world as and when required separately. But what was said was, on the day of resurrection, Allah will raise all human beings to life simultaneously and will subject them to accountability and punish and reward them accordingly. To them, they are being smart in confronting the Prophet ﷺ by proving that he cannot substantiate his claim. Because in truth, they are the one that is foolish. All right, let's recite. أم حسب الذين اجترحوا السيئات أن نجعلهم كالذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات سواء محياهم ومماتهم ساء ما يحكمون وخلق الله السماوات والأرض بالحق ولتجزى كل نفس بما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون أفرأيت من اتخذ إله هواه وأضله الله على علم وختم على سمعهم وقلبه وجعل على بصره غشاوة فمن يهديه من بعد الله أفلا تذكرون وقالوا ما هي إلا حياتنا الدنيا نموت ونحيا وما يهلكنا إلا الدهر وما لهم بذلك من علم إن هم إلا يظنون وإذا تتلى عليهم آياتنا بينات ما كان حجتهم إلا أن قالوا ائتوا بآبائنا إن كنتم صادقين. All right, we'll stop there. اللهم ارحمنا بالقرآن واجعله لنا إماما ونورا وهدى ورحمة اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار واجعله لنا حجة يا رب العالمين اللهم أستودعك ما علمتني فردده إلي وقت حاجاتي إليه فلا تنسينيه يا رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا انفعنا بما علمتنا، ربي علمنا الذي ينفعنا، ربي فقهنا وفقه أهلنا وقرابات لنا في ديننا مع أهل القتر أنثى وذكر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلى الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.